I will call the regular meeting of the Irmo Town Council to order, and I will recognize Councilman Barry Walker to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
You're doing it.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, please bless this country and our president as he goes through and makes the tough decisions on what to do around the world. Please have the level-headed folks not thrust us into another war and risk more lives of innocent civilians. And please watch over this council, that we might make decisions that make sense to the town of Irmo and for the citizens here. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes for February 18th. Is there a motion for approval as written?
So moved.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
And any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving minutes as written, do so show of hand. Next item is administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, you need to add anything to it, or?
Yes, so I have a few things here. Just a reminder, Friday morning, 10 o'clock is the ribbon cutting for the Palmetto Health Park Ridge Hospital. I sent everybody a grand opening memo on your iPad. Just look over it and let me know what you think, because that would fall within the scope that council laid out last meeting, keep it under $5,000 for food, and there are some recreational things in there also.
Where's that at? It's here?
It's in there somewhere.
It's probably towards
It's
oh,
an email.
that's right, I get
Oh, it's
it.
an email?
Yeah, it just outlines some different foods and things, because I know we want to try to keep it healthy, and we've got some healthy food in there, and we've got a little junk
Yeah,
food
it
in
was-
there, we've got a little...
Yo, wait, I think you wanted this popcorn and snow cones or something like
Yeah.
that. Well, what's hot dogs? Come on, guys.
I mean, it's a cost thing. I mean, you guys only gave me $5,000 to...
Well, hot dogs ain't gonna cost that much.
You gonna grill them up for us?
It's no problem. It's not that much. I mean, you gotta have hot dogs. I can understand burgers being unhealthy, but hot dogs, I mean...
I mean, we can look into it.
Did you, I think you said maybe 500, or
I was estimating, and we based it on 500.
is that
people
good?
For like the snow cones and the... I mean, the snow cones and popcorn's unlimited. That and something else.
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy, thank you. That was all unlimited, so...
How about
I
this?
mean, I
know
can't
a
eat all the
company-
bananas I want?
I know a company would be glad to
No.
cook hot dogs for you.
Okay.
We have to eat last.
Oh,
I'll look at the hot dog, try to come up with a cost. and again,
I can
talk
help
to-
you with that. I mean, hot dogs don't cost that much.
That's...
You gotta have hot dogs.
Not difficult, it's just a cost thing.
I understand.
Let's see.
Priorities, you know?
Sunday morning, everybody remembered to set their clocks forward 1 hour. We have received 4 different estimates for the additional parking at the community park, and they range from $31,000 to $60,000.
Wait a minute, y'all didn't spend any money last time I wasn't here?
No,
Oh my goodness.
and we're still not spending money.
we
This
didn't have
is-
a drunken sailor cookie.
I was gone a whole meeting. I should have stuck that in, man.
No, we didn't do anything.
Okay.
We behaving.
But what we do need to do, and this is not an agenda item, this is, does council want to proceed with advertising and soliciting for bids? I mean, because it's going to be probably around 30,000. So what I need to know, if you guys want to use the resources and time to go out and solicit, or is that a no?
Well, the other one was 100,000, wasn't it?
105.
No, it was 100 with asphalt, and then with just gravel it came down to 60.
Okay.
And I've got a 45 and a 48 and a 31.
And this is preparing the road bed and the right way to do it,
By
right?
taking the trees out, leveling it, doing some grading, digging down about 8 inches to a foot to put in a good base and gravel crusher on that sort of thing.
And we'd have to do that anyway
We could have
if we
to, yeah.
wanted to asphalt it.
Correct.
And it was still this little spot right here that we looked at before, that little,
That's,
same little.
that hadn't changed with our property line.
Can you incorporate that little path between Hill's property to churches in it?
We haven't got permission
haven't-
from the church yet.
Church doesn't want to play ball with us right now. I mean, they really are against it, but they're willing to have a meeting at some point in time. We've had to cancel a couple.
Yeah.
You know,
Now,
they're
we
con-
may all have to join.
But they're real concerned about liability, so we weren't even looking at the cost there.
I was just saying we could kill two birds with one stone by doing that and
Oh,
that
yeah.
at the same
That
time.
would-
It's an additional cost. And we've got to build a bridge if we do the pedestrian walkway to the church. That's just under 400 feet. So,
But that, how many parking places are behind you? Is it 3,000 or 2,000 or something?
behind Union Church is only a couple hundred. I mean, I haven't counted them. Anybody have any idea how many
I
parking
was
places
here.
are
I'd
out
say
there?
it's 3 or 4, 3 to 500 places.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Behind,
Okay.
yeah, it's quite a few.
Well, that's a coup.
And then counting the front,
And this one was what, 50-something? That one that we're looking at now doing the gravel? That little thing, remember how many was on that?
Well, this is just the dimensions right here, but how many parking places
Yeah.
are 56?
Yeah, 56.
You know, to go with our 52 that we already have.
we're going to continue to pursue the union thing, right?
Correct. I mean, we haven't, I'm still waiting for Mr. Teague to get back with me. I mean, I think it's his father or father-in-law, someone passed away, and that's why,
Yeah.
you know, we canceled the last meeting.
Financially, that's a good deal, if we can swing it.
Okay.
So if we get permission, Bob, from Union Methodist Church, do we still need to build the additional parking lot?
We need to
Well,
widen the
offhand,
road then.
yeah, offhand, no, but, you know, we want to wait, because I think we could easily spend $20,000 doing the pathway to the church.
And when do you think they may meet union?
They meet on Tuesdays.
Yeah, union.
Yeah, and I don't know when the next one is, he hadn't come back with me.
Okay.
I mean, we can wait, even if I solicit for bids, bids are normally good for about 90 days. I mean, council would still have to approve whatever we get back. But I just didn't want to waste time if council didn't want to waste money. And we'll wait for other alternatives.
Should we wait?
Let's wait.
We could wait until, see what union says, and then kind of move from there.
I like to see both those done at the same time. I mean, I don't mind spending the money, but I don't see you spending it there and go back and have to do it again.
Okay. well,
Somebody will call you drunk and say,
I wonder who do that.
Captain, we're gonna be head.
And finally, let's see, the last thing on my list here is, we had a planning commission meeting last night, and at that time, Mr. Schuler, I believe, yes, he is right there, had explained to the planning commission that the ordinance change that we had proposed, 14-03, is not needed. I mean, there's no reason to change the ordinance, because when we went to the Nate's Code a little over a year ago, we don't allow apartments in the town under any of our zonings, except for possibly PDD.
okay.
You know, I mean, if it ever got rezoned to PDD, then council would have total control over what we built there, and you could conceivably build whatever. But we're not there yet. We're still CG, RG, and apartments just aren't allowed. So I just want to let you know before we got to that item on the agenda that that ordinance is not,
I understand.
nothing we want to pursue.
Any questions of Mr. Brown?
No, but it is Mardi Gras.
That
This
Tuesday,
Weekend? Oh, or today? Or,
Today's Mardi Gras, yeah.
Yeah, Fat Tuesday.
oh, let's see, next item is receipt of communication. And the only thing I wanted to share, and I'll probably will let him maybe say something if he chooses to, but I thought the planning commission meeting was 7 o'clock last night. So I was going to swing by here and try to talk to some of y'all and stuff, and then it was already coming
I thought
off.
it was 7 too, so I didn't.
But while we were sitting out there,
Make it.
they had changed that back in July, and the word just got out then, but we forgot to get it out again, because it's been 6 months since the last time they met.
and while I was out there, Mr. John Atkinson and the real estate agent from McGee Realty kind of drove up and we got to talking. He's here, so you may want to mention that in the next presentation by citizens. But he did mention he has that property listed and some other properties listed. He would like to meet with the town sometime and maybe kind of go over what do we want to see that property develop. How do we want to see that property develop? What would we like to see there? Kind of scenario to be thinking about that. And then I'm going to try to get in touch with him next week and either meet with him and then find out something and then have him come to a town council meeting or maybe just set up a separate meeting. It's hard to meet with us legally without meeting at 2 at a time and all that junk, but we might be able to do a work session or something, who knows what. We'll kind of figure that out. Any other receipt of communication? Next item is presentation by citizens for agenda items only, and this is where anyone who would like to address the council on anything that's on the agenda may do so at this time. And I was just going to, say if you wanted to come up and kind of tell us what you were talking about the meeting and all that, this might be a good time just to kind of start that going.
Thank you for your time, Mayor King and council members. I would simply like at some point to have an opportunity to listen to what you would like to see in Irmo. We have 18 acres starting at Fox and going up to J.R. Marsh's property back, and we would like to do something with it. Not certain which direction to take now. So at your convenience, we maybe could get together, Mayor King and whomever, and sit down and discuss what you would like to see in Irmo and maybe work together to bring that to fruition.
And I think you mentioned that you have Mr. Atkinson's property, and then I think it was Paulette or something.
The Minnick property, Camille's property, now Don Looney's property's in transition, but I've talked to the people that are buying that property.
Okay.
And R.J. Marsh is listed with someone else, but he's together in that group. So it's 18, basically 18 and a half acres there.
That whole track in that. Okay.
Nice track.
Okay. Well, I think we'll try to find out and then figure out something from us too, and then
Would like the opportunity to listen to what you have to say.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor King.
All right. Thank you.
I'm going to workshop my.
Good evening, George Glassmar, 100 Denbeck Road. I'd like to address items 9A and 9B in that order as they appear on the agenda. As to item 9A, to amend the rates for business licenses, first thing I'd like to do is make it clear that I would expect the mayor to abstain from the vote on this because you are a businessman in this town and you could clearly benefit from this if it passed. As to the logic of doing this, it escapes me because I cannot envision any business either coming into town and establishing themselves or deciding to stay in town because of a reduced rate on the business license. Indeed, if the town has this revenue that it's willing to forego, instead of reducing the business license, I would encourage you to reduce, or if not eliminate, the residential garbage fees that I pay annually. And Mr. Hoots has been a vocal advocate of this, although I haven't seen much progress on that. But I do note that you've been at least a verbal supporter of this for years. I haven't seen much progress on this. Now, I know what many of you are thinking. We already have among the lowest, if not the lowest, garbage fees in the area. Okay, you know what? They're not zero, okay? If you've got the money to forego this business license revenue, don't give it to the businesses. Give it to the residents and the voters like me, and reduce my garbage fees, if not eliminate them. That's where you need to shift that revenue to, that excess revenue, if you can afford to not collect it from the businesses. As to item 9B, it's my understanding that this is focused on one or more tracts of property near what used to be the Silver Fox down on Lake Murray Boulevard, near St. Andrews Road, and I recently learned although I've not been able to confirm this yet, that there is at least some interest in placing low-income multiple dwelling units there, and which would also facilitate a men's rehabilitation center. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it doesn't sound good to me. What I would ask this council do before you take even the first vote on that is to let's have some transparency here and make sure that the residents of the town know exactly what the plan is here, what the motive is here, and let's lay our cards on the table. I think the residents are entitled to that. I'm opposed to any low-income housing there, and certainly a men's rehabilitation center there.
That's gone now, George. The zoning, which we did not know until yesterday, the new zoning code, the national NA what? Yeah, that outlaws all multifamily in commercial development.
Okay, well, if this passes, though, does this effectively amend that code?
No, we're not going to do anything with it, are we?
We're going to talk about it.
Okay, we
All right, if this ordinance is amended, will it enable or even facilitate multiple dwelling units? If so, I'm opposed. And let's be clear what it can do, and I'd like all you to be clear, have a clear understanding of what the code provides, and if you vote for this, how that's going to impact the code and the town.
You're opposed to apartments, or you're opposed to low income?
Well, I'm opposed to certainly low income, because I think we've already got a number of those in this town. And I'm also opposed to multiple dwelling apartments there, because that's going to generate a lot of traffic there, and I don't know that we need that in that area. There's already a lot of traffic on that road, and that's going to be a lot of people living in a confined area with a lot of cars. And I don't know if you've ever been there, particularly when school's letting in or out, the traffic there can be a nightmare. And I don't think we need to exacerbate that.
That's true.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to address council on anything that's on the agenda?
Thank you, Mayor. Wayne Schuler. I just want to clarify, because I wasn't sure if it was going to come up on the agenda later. Your zoning ordinance allows for multifamily dwelling units, and there is a NAICS code assigned to that use. However, your zoning ordinance specifies the type of multifamily and limits it to patio homes and townhomes. So it doesn't allow for apartment complexes or towers or what is considered garden-style homes, 2 or 3 story buildings and in clusters, that type of thing. That's not how those types of multifamily dwelling units are not permitted under your zoning ordinance. You specify patio homes, zero lot line homes, or townhomes, and even in those cases, they are conditional use, so they're not permitted outright. There are certain conditions the developer has to meet before they could get a permit. So I just wanted to clarify that for your information.
Now, those are permitted in what, the residential?
They're permitted in your they're in your high-density residential and in your general commercial. Yeah, they're permitted in those 2 districts as conditional uses.
Townhomes, duplexes, and...
But those specific unit types, correct.
But the regular apartments are not.
Correct, yes.
They're only permitted in the PPD.
Yes, sir, and as Mr. Brown mentioned, that requires planning commission review, and it ultimately will require council approval before that type of project could go forward. Yes, sir.
So what's the difference between an apartment and a townhome?
Well, a townhome is going to be, it's going to be usually 2 to 3 units per block, per type,
right.
per building.
Right.
Sometimes they're multi-floor units. They don't have to be, but it's not 4, 5, 6 units or more like you would have like on Columbiana Drive. Those types of arrangements would not be. So
What's the density thing? Is it density?
Yes, sir. It would be a density issue, and it would also be a building type of issue. So you're looking, you're in that type of arrangement, you're not only controlling the density, but the type of development it is, how the building would look. Yes, sir.
Townhomes, does this classification of townhomes owning a portion of the land underneath?
It could.
Okay.
I mean, that's a possibility as well. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And that would just depend on the type of project. Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Seeing none, no unfinished business. First item is new business. First reading of ordinance 1402 to amend the business licensing ordinance, Chapter 10, Business Section 1015, or 1051. The rate schedule to a longevity discount for all classifications. Is there a motion for first reading? So no one's going to make a motion? I will. I'll make a motion then. Is there a second? We need to discuss it so I can answer his question. Well, if you're not, say so I can move on.
It's lonely with one vote, isn't it?
So is that a motion or not?
No.
No, okay. No second? Motion fails for lack of second. And then next one is first reading of ordinance 1403 to amend the Irmo zoning ordinance to, whatever that is, not allow multi-family apartments in general contractor or general commercial or zoning district. Is there a motion?
Do we need to do this?
I want to discuss it.
You want to discuss it?
Yeah. So we can do it here, we can do it out of order, we can do it nasty.
Well, I was thinking with the explanation from Mr. Schuler, we didn't even need this.
We need to
No.
talk about it.
I think it's a moot point.
I think it's a moot point too.
I mean, I'm not going to pass the ordinance, but I need to talk about it.
No, we're not going to pass nothing. That other zoning does take care of it.
So you want to make a motion?
I want to talk about multifamily.
Well-
Talk about it here. So make the motion on second and talk about it.
I don't know about it.
So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to talk.
All right. Is there a second? Well, I guess no second. Motion fails for lack of second. Next item is approval of a mutual aid agreement with the town election and police department. Is there a motion for that?
Oh, yeah, I make a motion. I make a motion for that.
And you made the motion, Harvey?
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion?
I think it just needs, the only explanation is, this is something we do every year
Yeah.
to kind of keep the records clean and keep the chief happy. You happy, chief?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have to say.
They need guidance from us.
Election?
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor then of the approval of the mutual aid agreement with the town election and police department, do so with show of hands. Next item is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who would want to speak to us about anything on the agenda or not on the agenda may do so at this time. And seeing no one, next item is executive session. Any need for an executive session? None. And next is adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
And second.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Uh-oh.
I
We are
kinda did that
adjourned.
Before we even started.